Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome. You can totally sit with us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to She's a Full-On Monet. I'm your host, Kelly. I have with me, as always, Megan.
Hello, hello. Look at you in color today. I
know I'm
don't
wearing...
see you in color.
Yeah, it's been nice here, so I kind of wanted to dress a little bit more colorful today.
Yeah, cool.
But today, I think this issue, this topic that we're going to talk about is really interesting to me. It's not something that I personally am going through right now, although I have experienced this in the past, but I was surprised by the number of people that have, regular issue with this. So I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about migraines and different things that can help if this is something that you suffer from. Like I said, I was a little bit surprised by the statistics on this. It says 29.5 million Americans regularly suffer from migraines, and 3/4 of that number are women.
That's crazy.
This
is so terrible.
I know. I mean,
not a headache, a migraine, which is drastically different than like a headache, migraine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's an important distinction to make because I know I'm guilty of this myself, but I know a lot of people who, if they have a bad headache, will say, "Oh, I've got a migraine." And it's not the same thing at all. Not at all. A migraine is actually like a neurological disorder that is different from headache. Even if you have a headache and a migraine at the same intensity, the symptoms are different. And like you can have a very bad headache and be able to kind of function still and put it out of your mind a little bit, like push it to the back and power through it. But a migraine is something very different.
Yeah. You can't just go about your day with a migraine. It's debilitating. It takes over your entire ability to like function. You can't. Yeah.
Right. And a headache is only one symptom of a migraine. A lot of people have a bunch of other, accompanying symptoms like nausea, sensitivity to light, extreme fatigue. So a headache is just one part of the migraine, whole thing. And I've had a few migraines in my life. Thankfully, I haven't had one in a long time. I think it's probably been like 5 years, and I only had them for a brief period of time. My sister, on the other hand, suffers regularly with migraines to the point that, she has to go to bed with like something over her eyes and an ice pack on her neck. And she's been prescribed medication that she's supposed to take at the first sign of a migraine. And it does work to kind of alleviate or have the migraine not get to its full intensity. But the prescription is incredibly expensive. And you have to take it the moment you have your first inclination that a migraine is coming on. You can't, if you wait and take it later, it has no effect. So, I mean, I know she's been visiting me at my home and felt a migraine coming on and didn't have her medication with her. And she, to the point where she wouldn't be able to drive herself home. It's bad. And my youngest daughter has had migraines. She has health issues that have kind of developed over the last like 4 or 5 years. And migraines was one of those issues. She's got a handle on it now. One of the things that we're going to talk about that's treatment for migraines is Topamax, which is an anti-seizure medication, but it also prevents migraines or reduces the frequency of migraines. So my daughter takes that medication, which was prescribed to her for both reasons. She does have seizures and she also has migraines. And since she started taking it, I don't think she's had maybe one, but it's a daily medication. She takes it every single night. And it just seems to be keeping the migraines at bay. So it's working for her.
That's great.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of Topamax is a pretty widely prescribed prescription. It doesn't have like a ton of side effects other than I think like weight loss is one of the side effects. But it's something that I know is a pretty,
Some women are like, wait a minute, hold on.
yeah,
Migraines and the side effect is I lose weight. Okay, shoot.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the worst side effect ever.
I have a friend who's a nurse, and I mean, I don't know if she's explored options because she's a nurse, and I feel like why wouldn't she? But she regularly complains and suffers from like debilitating migraines where she's like, open to all sorts of options just because she can't function and she's got 2 kids and she's got like a high stress job that she can't just, power through this. So it's, I personally don't suffer from migraines. I have headaches. And that's typically from like drinking too much coffee or, it's always something where I can easily figure out what the cause of that was. But I've seen her talk about her experience and her journey with it. And I just feel so awful. It might not have been a migraine. Well, no, I feel like it was a migraine when I got this last strain of COVID. And that was one of the symptoms was a really bad migraine.
Yeah.
That was next level horrible. I feel like I've been through some stuff pain wise, and that headache, that migraine that just sat right here, that just would not go away for what felt like it was like an entire day, and no amount of anything I could do would make it go away. That was like the worst part of it for me. So to have to deal with that all the time would be, sign me up for whatever can help. Cause that's,
it's bad. I know my sister, she gets migraines, related to her hormone fluctuations, which are really common, I think, for women. But they also can be triggered by changes in barometric pressure. So if the weather changes, here in California, the weather can change overnight. And that can bring on a migraine for her. So she has learned some of the triggers. Also, she has some food triggers that she avoids because she's noticed there's a correlation between some foods and migraines. Wow. I think that's pretty common too. But she had, someone had recommended to her like a piercing in a particular part of her ear. It's also used to treat anxiety and depression. And I think she has like an ear bead. That's what they're called, ear beads, that she wears that puts pressure on that pressure point in your ear.
Wow.
I don't think she got the piercing, but it's like a bead that you attach. I don't know if it's magnetic or what. And it just puts like a little bit of pressure on a pressure point in the cartilage of your ear. That's supposed to help with, it helps with depression and anxiety. That's what it's more well known for, but she had heard that it can also help with migraines. And I'm pretty sure she tried that and it worked for her.
Wow.
So yeah, you really have to kind of get creative. I know Botox injections are something that are being used now to treat migraines. I don't know a lot about that. I've heard it and I've seen it advertised in my dermatologist's office. But I don't even know where they inject it.
I'm big on like CBD oil helps, like the actual oil. If you just, put it on your temples and then rub that area, or you inject it under your tongue, like it goes straight to your bloodstream, and that will help, especially if you've taken medicine and it still is just there and you're like, oh, what else can I do? I can't take more medicine. Like CBD is something that you can also do that. I personally, when I have like a headache, I don't know if it will cure a migraine. I am no doctor. I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying it does relieve that pressure that, is in there. Even if you just take a little bit, or rub it into your temples or that area that's causing you stress, it will actually like relieve the pressure and cause the muscles to relax, which I found helpful. Again, no doctor.
Yeah. I went through a period of time where I was getting a pretty bad they weren't migraines, but they were pretty bad, like stress headaches.
Yeah.
And I found that, I would put a pack of ice on the back of my neck, which slowed the blood flow in that main, artery or whatever that goes to your brain. And that helped a lot, just kind of, because it would, that headache where you can feel your heartbeat in your head. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. That, ice pack on the back of the neck and laying down like that, helped a lot. And then I started going to, like an acupressure massage, specialist who, understood like pressure points of the body. And I would go like once a week, and that was a life changer for me. It got me through that period of time where I was having that tension and stress based headaches, and they would last for days. And it was very preventative for me. And then, you know, that time of my life kind of passed, and I haven't had that happen again since, thankfully. Hopefully, maybe I just learned how to like handle my stress better. I don't know, but
I mean, it's something that, again, no doctor, but it's definitely something you shouldn't ignore. I know that getting headaches, and then there's so many treatments and so many ways to get it and make it go away. But if you're chronically having them, you need to have that looked at. I mean, my personal story, my mom died from a brain aneurysm, and her last words were complaining of a headache. So for me, every single time I get a headache, and her aneurysm was, hereditary. She was born with it. So every time I get a headache, I start to think, am I dying? You know, it's just my natural thought. And so you should not, like, what I mean, she ignored it. I'm not saying every headache requires a CAT scan, but I'm saying if you're just one to get a small headache or a migraine and self-treat and not bring it up to your doctor, that's not good either. You should take a look at it, whether it's just small headaches or migraines. How do you know if it's a problem, that if you're in one of those groups of people?
Yeah, that's exactly. I just shared like what worked for me, but before that, this was new. I was not someone who had chronic headaches my whole life. I was going through an incredibly stressful time in my life. And I was hit with insomnia, which had never been a problem for me ever. And these stress headaches, and they would last for days. And while I could still function, I was exhausted. I would just, at the minute I stopped like moving, then I could feel it. And it was all I could focus on. It was to some extent debilitating for me. And the first, I took over the counter medications. I took, baths with Epsom salt. I did what I knew had worked in the past for like regular headache, but it wasn't working. So I did go to see my doctor, and I did mention, this is a new thing. I've never experienced this before. And suddenly I'm having these headaches, once every 10 days or something. And the last 2 or 3 days, it was really unusual. When I think anytime anything happens with your health that is unusual for you, you should have it checked out, and not just accept, oh, I guess this is, I knew I was stressed out, but the headache situation was new. So I got a CT scan. I did get he sent me to a neurologist. I got a bunch of tests done. They tested like my blood, my hormones, my thyroid, things like that, just to rule out anything. Cause he said, I don't want to tell you to go take some Advil and like reduce your stress if you have a tumor in your brain or something. Like, right? I need to rule things out. So I was very thankful that he was so thorough, my primary care doctor at the time, because it gave me that peace of mind of like, okay, I've ruled out all the major things. This is not life threatening, but I need to, I need to come up with some strategies to help me handle this, because that was my biggest concern too. Like, this came on kind of out of nowhere. Do I have a blood clot? Do I have a tumor? Am I starting to get some kind of autoimmune disorder? Like what's going on? So once we ruled everything out and no, this is just stress, then I could kind of try to manage it on my own. But I would caution anyone who's having a symptom that is unusual for you, whether it's headaches or digestive issues or sleep issues or whatever, go see your doctor. Because catching things early is the key to most major health issues. Mm-hmm. And you can't ignore symptoms and just think, oh, well, maybe this is just stress. I mean, I think as women, we say everything is stress.
Right. It's just, because it probably is, but also this too. Stress plus this, just assume it's stress, but also there's a bigger lining issue. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to treat migraines and headaches, but it's not something to like put a Band-Aid on forever and just like go by, So anyway.
Yeah. If you do suffer from migraines, definitely talk to your primary care doctor about that, because there are a lot of medications and prescription treatments and things that can help you. That is obviously an important course of action to take. But if you've tried that, or if you prefer not to take prescription medication, we'll talk about some other options.
Exactly. We always got to preface it with like, oh, these are not problem solvers. These are just things that can help you, but also definitely keep your doctor in the know that you're, having some issue with this stuff.
Megan and I are not medical professionals.
Have a migraine? Stop right here. You hear us out and then go no further. No, definitely follow up with your physician, but these things have been known to help if you fall in this category of, my goodness, that's so many people.
So many people.
Oh, and that's people who like know it and are aware of it and are actively doing something about it. That's not even the people that like do also suffer from this and have not, had the awakening conversation with their doctor. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
this is like bigger. People diagnosed. Yeah.
It's probably more.
Yeah. It's really crazy. So, well, the first tip that we're going to give you is that we touched on it a little bit. There are a lot of triggers that can bring about a migraine. It can be environmental. It can be a food trigger. It can be a noise or light trigger. Just like strobe lights and things like that can bring on seizures. Different things like that can bring on migraines, and weather conditions like we mentioned, the barometric pressures. So a really helpful idea is to keep like a migraine diary, basically, where you kind of record what's going on at the times preceding a migraine that you think could have possibly brought the migraine on. I think if you suffer from migraines on a regular basis, keeping just a general diary of the daily conditions and what's going on in your life at the time, you'll start to see a pattern.
Wow. Yeah. Just like, checking on your food. If you're trying to figure out an allergy or trying to figure out like weight, if you journal, always write things down, you'll notice this, a pattern will start to show, right?
Yeah, exactly. And certain foods, I know chocolate is a trigger for people. Caffeine is a trigger for people.
So I drink my dark chocolate mocha. No big deal. Yeah. And I get headaches from caffeine, but yeah.
Alcohol can trigger migraines for some people, or surprisingly, like fermented foods like kombucha and pickled stuff, like anything fermented can cause migraines. I don't know where the correlation there is.
What about high sodium?
Possibly, I don't know.
I just feel like all of these are depriving and deleting your body of hydration, which is a major component of headaches and migraines. Is dehydration.
Dehydration is a major trigger.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you suffer from migraines and you
alcohol,
decided
caffeine, sodium, sugar,
yeah, if you decided, you know what, I'm gonna finally get a handle on this, the first step I would tell you to do is to start a diary where you record what you ate, how much water you drank, how you slept, the weather, the air pressure, and any stressors that came about. Maybe even like whether you had a lot of blue light exposure that day or fluorescent light exposure that day. I mean, you don't know what
how
patterns.
Often were you staring at your screen, or how often were you this close to your,
yeah.
The environment is totally blowing my mind and throwing me off. I'm trying to figure out how the weather and this pressure thing that you're talking about how does that correlate to a migraine?
I don't know.
Like going from really cold to really hot. Is that what you're talking about? Or
yeah. Like if we have a really beautiful
to a beautiful day, like,
right. If we have a beautiful, clear, sunny, dry day here in Southern California, and then the next day is really overcast with heavy moisture in the air,
really?
It changes. Yeah.
I know that can cause like allergies and like my nose, I have no clue what's going on, but like migraines, that just blows my mind that couldn't affect it, because you're so not in charge of that. That seems so messed
There's nothing you can do.
Like food's one thing, but like you just wake up to what we got, Like,
yeah, and I apologize if you keep your migraine diary and you realize that it's the barometric pressure. I am sorry
because there's nothing you can do about that. That just seems like such a mean joke. That's why I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, other than moving to a very dry and temperate climate like Arizona, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, we're kind of consistent here, but sometimes, like, especially right now, we get the all over the place.
Yeah. If you are keeping a journal like that, or you're going to start keeping a journal like that, I didn't mention it, but you should definitely also track your cycle. Yeah. Or any changes in your hormones, whether you're starting hormone replacement therapy or birth control.
What medications you're taking?
What medications you're right. Yeah. your regular cycle, if you're starting menopause, that could be a change in hormones that could affect migraines. I know hormone fluctuations are a big trigger.
That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. I mean, all of those food it makes sense. It seems like a lot of things that are, taking away your hydration but again, if you are this type of person, you may drink tons of water, because that's the thing is most people know that if they have a headache, even my kids are like, oh, I should drink more water. Like I feel like a lot of those people are still probably drinking a lot of water, and they're still probably feeling the way they're feeling,
Yeah. Well, my youngest daughter has a heart condition, and her cardiologist explained, which was really interesting to me, that one of the most important things for her not to have symptoms of her particular heart condition is to stay hydrated all the time. When she allows herself to get dehydrated, it thickens your blood, and it makes it harder for that, damaged valve in her heart to pump the blood properly.
Wow.
So I never would have thought that, because it's actually common. Most people are at least low level dehydrated most of the time.
Oh, I can't tell you the last water I had. Come on, let's be I should drink so much more water all the time. And my coffee.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about this the other day because my grandkids have their own like personalized little water bottles. My husband's grandkids, and they have them at school with them all day. And when my kids started like end of elementary school, middle school, the water bottle thing got to be a really big thing. And the school wanted them to bring in their own, it was part of your school supplies for the year, was your water bottle that you would keep on your desk. And and I got to thinking about this because I was cleaning our vast supply of Hydro Flask and type water bottles.
Yeah.
I got to thinking, and I was like, I literally do not remember drinking water as a child. Like,
we drank
juice, Kool-Aid, soda,
Capri Sun,
everybody.
I wasn't even drinking real chocolate milk. It was chocolate drink. It was and it was the best. Okay.
I remember my grandmother like insisting we have a glass of milk with dinner, like shoving milk down our throats. But water, nobody was ever like, hey, have some water. You're dehydrated.
Never. No, I had water at like when I was playing soccer. But like my mom and dad would never. Water was not a thing. We wouldn't bring water bottles to school. I would. You do the water fountain.
We didn't have reusable water bottles at home or at school. We had a water fountain at school that worked 50% of the time.
So much so much crap.
We would occasionally, if we were running around on a summer's day, we would occasionally drink out of the water hose in front of the house.
Yes, you just find a hose. And I'm sorry, we're doing just fine. Okay.
I think I had probably 5 sips of water a month when I was a kid.
This might be why we're all dehydrated and have migraines though, because it was never my kids, my 5-year-old asked for water all the time. And I'm just looking at her like, I haven't gotten myself water in so long. And she's sitting here like she could have asked for juice, milk, chocolate milk, anything. And she goes for water. And I just think like, wow, because she brings the water bottle everywhere. Emma brings her water bottle everywhere. That's good. I
noticed
really
too
we weren't that way.
My friends who have smaller kids than mine, and my stepdaughters who have little ones, they would give them like baby bottles with water in it. Yeah, I never did that for my kids. It never occurred to me to give them water. If they got a bottle, it had milk or formula or something in it. It didn't have water in it. So I'm really like. The fact
I'm
that
happy for them, but this is why I never drink water by.
I also don't remember my parents. I mean, my dad ever drinking water growing up. He would mow the lawn in the summer heat and then have a beer. Like, I don't remember him being worried about dehydration at all.
Let's just say that like a decent parent starts with our kids, because we've just been like, we're products of that. And then they're products of that before. And we can just, no kid right now is running around finding a garden hose and drinking out of it. Like somebody would fall down dead and be like, can I get you a glass of water? That's not happening anymore. So like, maybe all the nonsense has officially stopped, and like, they're going to do better for us.
Yeah. I mean, we always have like even my kids, when they went away to college and moved into their first dorm rooms that had like kitchenettes, one of the first things they wanted was a Brita. They all wanted a Brita.
See, they're woke. They're
no Brita.
They're thinking about their mental health. They're drinking water. Like you can be a man, a woman, or whatever. Like, I'm just thinking like, we did okay, but they're going to do so much better.
They're going to be
with their kids.
hydrated. Their brains are going to be functioning, firing on all cylinders.
And you can be whatever you want to be, you know, and like, it's going to be, I'm happy for that generation. Cause like up till us, we've been screwed and dehydrated and unaware. Like think about, I mean, I saw this funny TikTok about, now we're just getting off topic, but thinking about like how, if you brought up you were depressed when you were a kid, your parent would be like, you're probably just need a nap. And you're like, I'm sure I do. Like, you don't ever talk like that anymore. Like, I just feel like we're so awake now to things like,
I don't remember anyone even asking me when I was a kid if I was happy, if I was depressed, if I was having any feelings. But if you were like angry or sad, you were like, you probably just needed a nap, or like you just drink a glass of milk. I would be subjected to hear the stories of how much harder people had it before me, and I don't have anything to complain about. And
guilt, yes, guilt. that one.
I don't have anything to cry about.
Oh my gosh, somehow we made it through. So I'm happy for the next generation of people that at least will be aware of their migraines and their mental health and all of the things above that we've discussed.
Oh, they have car seats, they have boosters, they have vaccinations, they have water bottles.
Though, like best generation ever. My parents didn't have to worry. I never had to think about like getting jealous that my parents were spending more time on their social media than hanging out with me. You know, like we did have some good things back then because they didn't have it now. You know, it's like social media wasn't a thing back then, but also like being aware that you should drink more water also wasn't a thing back then. Yeah. So you get what you get.
Trade-off, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not saying that water will fix all migraines, but it is a big, if you notice the food factor, at least that seems to be a common denominator in all those things. You know, alcohol depletes your body of that, sugar. So are you saying if you have chronic migraines, you should just avoid those foods altogether, or
I think
serious moderation?
If you track all your stuff in a migraine diary, and you realize that, you know, doesn't seem to be related to those things, then I don't think you need to worry about it. If you're not sure, you know, you can always do an elimination diet, which is something people do for food allergies, but you know, you remove everything but a certain number of safe foods, whatever, you know, that is for you. And then you add things in one at a time. So you can immediately say that that's the cause of whatever reaction you have.
So if you're like daily 2 glasses of red wine is causing these migraines to happen, then take the 2 glasses of wine out and see if that's still. Also, it's just good if you go to the doctor and they ask what your habits are, you can literally show them like an open book of habits, and they can see and know that you're being honest about what you're doing, rather than you being like, well, I kind of drink coffee. That's not helpful. You know, you're like, I drink 1 a day at this time of the day, or I drink 4 a day, you know, so it's good for your doctor to see, even if you can't see a pattern yourself. So journaling is definitely a great step in trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And how to help it.
Exactly. I think, and you know, I use when I am tracking my food, which I don't do all the time. I use an app called Chronometer. I'll try to link it here, but it's because I'm not tracking for like calories necessarily. I'm tracking for nutrients. So when you put stuff into Chronometer, it actually tells you, it breaks down all the nutrients of everything that you ate that day. And so sometimes, like, I know I naturally have low vitamin D and magnesium, so I will track what I eat to see how close I'm getting with my food intake to where I need to be on that. So I know if I need to supplement. So that's something you can also think about doing, because I know like low magnesium can cause, you know, headaches and symptoms like that. It's something to think about, because that's something that also, you know, the doctors tell you as you age as a woman, you do need to be more aware of certain vitamins and minerals that you need to get, that are, I guess they naturally kind of, your body stops creating them or processing them or whatever. So I think that app is really interesting, because it's the only one I found that really breaks it down that minutely, into that's actual cool. Like by vitamin, by mineral. Like, it's interesting to me. So that's obviously, we know that sleep issues are often paired with migraine issues, and it's kind of a chicken or egg thing, right? Because if you don't get enough sleep, it can trigger or make you more susceptible to a migraine, but having a migraine makes it almost impossible to sleep. So,
but if
yeah.
you know that you have a problem getting to sleep, then maybe don't stare at your phone for an hour before bed. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that we just chalk up to like, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. When like, if you would just like be an adult about it and just do things that might not sound as fun, it's going to help you tomorrow. You know, like,
Right.
oh, if I eat ice cream at 10:30 at night, even at my age of 35, like I'm going to wake up with stomach problems tomorrow. But sometimes I'm like, F this, I'm going to eat the ice cream, you know, but my next day person's like, what? Come on, Megan, you know? So like, sometimes you just have to be your next day version, or when that migraine comes, and be like, instead of, you know, going in bed and just staring at the screen, I'll go in bed and, you know, continue on that book I've been avoiding, you know, because you know that that's what your eyes need to see. That's what your mind needs to see in order to get to a place of rest, so that you can get a heads up on that sleep, because you know you're already going to be down maybe a couple hours. Like, you know, you need more. So prepare yourself for success. Right. And
yeah, exactly. And I want to point out that the amount of sleep that you need is very personal and individual. My husband can get by and actually feel completely refreshed with 5 or 6 hours of sleep. I need at least 8.
Does he take
sometimes
a nap
9
or go to
he
bed?
does sometimes
Okay.
take a nap, but
Like,
he's always been not a huge sleeper.
Mm.
It's just always kind of been his routine, and he's functioned very well like that. I can't, if I don't get at least 8, 7.5, I would say would be my minimum. I feel almost like hungover the next day. I'm like sluggish. I'm nauseous. It's really bad. So I know that about myself, and I prioritize my sleep schedule, but I avoid a lot of things that would normally make me very happy, like staying up late, watching shows that I've been missing out on, or going out and staying out late with my friends. I compromise that because my sleep schedule is, I know that I will lose the entire next day. Just
you
like
have
if
non-negotiables, because it's important with what you need, you know.
Exactly. I've prioritized, me feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
And we did touch on hydration, but there are a lot of options now if water is just not your jam. Like you've talked about putting fruit and stuff in your water to make it taste better. There are those IV hydration packets that you can put in water that are supposed to be more hydrating. I don't know the science behind that. Or like Pedialyte, Gatorade. Mm-hmm. Coconut water has certain minerals in it, like potassium and sodium, that can be additionally hydrating. So if water is just something that you just loathe and have such a hard time with, try maybe adding something to it. I drink a lot of iced tea over water just because I prefer the taste of it, and I'll put fresh fruit in it and stuff. I don't drink sweetened iced tea. I drink regular iced tea, which is leaf water, right? But
coffee's just bean water. Let's be real.
But I mean, growing up, we had one of those big sun tea things that my dad
sit it outside.
would put the Lipton tea bags in there and then sit it outside in the sun. So I got used to drinking.
That was a treat because you couldn't just have it right away. It'd have to sit out, and the temperature would have to be nice and warm.
Yeah, you have to.
Good times. Same. I didn't even like the taste. I was just like, this is summer to me. Like my parents would do the same thing, and I just see it and it just sit out in the sun.
Yeah, and it's funny because the most we would ever get would be like a slice of lemon if we were feeling super fancy. But now I put all kinds of fruit in my tea.
Yeah,
I'll have sliced strawberries or raspberries. I'll put pineapple in it. I'll just like whatever we have in the fridge. Mm-hmm. I usually slice everything up ahead of time. I'll just throw them in my water bottle or in my tea. I've got my little mason jar of tea right here. So
we've tried to make it cute with cute bottles and jars and like, those things that say you're halfway done with water bottles. I personally get most of my water intake when I'm working out, just because I have to drink a ton of water. If I didn't work out, I probably wouldn't drink much water at all, just because I loathe the taste of it. But when I do prep and put the fruit in, that does help. But yeah, it's probably the one thing we know most, and we all just as people,
we all avoid it. I know,
hate it. Even the people that make it cute, they're just like, oh, water. Like, I don't know, I don't like water.
I only enjoy it if it's ice cold.
Yes.
So what I have to do is keep dumping it out and starting over, because it has to be like absolutely frigid for me to enjoy it.
That's crazy. Yeah. But it works though, and you drink more water that way, right? Whatever works.
Absolutely. So eye strain straining your eyes can cause migraines, can trigger a migraine. And how do you strain your eyes? Looking at a computer for 8 hours at a time, scrolling on your phone too much or your iPad, any blue light, even if you have, if you have problems when you're reading and you feel like you're kind of getting eye strain from reading printed books and stuff, I definitely go to, even if you've never needed glasses in your life, go to an optometrist. It might be time for reading glasses. That could eliminate the eye strain that's triggering you. A lot of people who, if they haven't worn glasses earlier or contacts earlier in life, they really miss the signs that it's time for reading glasses. If you find, that your eyes feel strained or you're having to hold the paper like close to your eye, that's going to cause over time like a lot of strain to your eyes. So definitely go get those reading glasses.
Yeah. I come from an entire family. They all wear glasses. I'm the only one who doesn't. And I'm like, I got to keep an eye out for those signs because I'm sure it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I used to wear super thick glasses or contact lenses. I had eye surgery in 2002. But that's 20 years ago, right? So I also need to be aware that my perfect vision isn't going to be perfect forever. And actually, that's reminding me, I need to probably see an optometrist to make sure. But one of the things I put in all my kids' stockings this year, especially, the two of my kids that stare at a screen all day for work, blue light glasses. Yes. I bought them really cute blue light glasses. Each one got a different pair. And I have seen my son, who will FaceTime me from the office sometimes, and he is wearing his blue light glasses.
My 10-year-old wears them because I think she thinks they're cute. Like she looks like a cute, nerdy, like hipster girl. And I'm like, whatever makes you wear those suckers, because she is on her screen sometimes too much. And I'm like, every time I see her, I'm like, oh, you think you're cute, but I'm keeping you safe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because it starts so early now. My goodness, every kid has a screen. Could you imagine how strained their eyes are if they don't have anyone like monitoring their screen time?
Yeah. And I mean, compared to us, they're starting to look at screens from an earlier and earlier age. Yeah. I remember my dad, used to tell me not to sit so close to the television because it was going to mess up my eyes, to sit back on the sofa instead of on the carpet right in front of the television.
Oh yeah.
But these kids have screens this close to their face from the time they're like 18 months old, some of them with iPads and stuff.
I don't care if it's ABC mouse on that sucker. Screen is bad for their eyes. It doesn't matter, so yeah.
I'm not telling you to put blue light glasses on your infant, but like.
No, but like maybe monitor the amount of time, because like over time.
I've seen those shields that go over the screen that are blue light shields. Some people prefer those over the glasses. They will fit right onto your computer screen or iPad screen, and it shields you from the blue light. So it's just something to consider. And it won't hurt. It might help. You never know. If you're a migraine sufferer.
There's settings on your phone where you can turn it to like night mode, or like, the screen, you can change the color of it. If my kids are ever playing like at nighttime on my phone, even for a few minutes, I always change the coloring, because I don't want your brain doesn't click off that fast of like what they were just, it's weird how that light difference will really change the way your brain is being wired at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you feel a migraine coming on, we talked about the ice pack on the back of the neck. That's a really big one, because that is a big blood vessel that moves blood up into your brain. And if your blood pressure is high or your pulse is high and the blood is pumping at a fast rate, I am not a medical professional.
But you've seen the results.
I'm just telling you that it calms the blood flowing to the brain. It reduces inflammation in that blood vessel, and it can help. The other thing is, if this is also a great tip if you suffer from anxiety.
I think I remember doing that when I was playing soccer, and like we were really hot, like it was really hot. My blood was like, they put an ice pack like right here to like calm that. Now that you say that, it totally works, because like if you, like. Crazy.
Yeah, if it's a really hot day and that's bringing on a headache, that will work. Also running your wrists under cold tap water, because that's a good pressure point to acknowledge. And then this last one, even if you suffer from anxiety or panic attacks, this is also a really great one. There's a nerve that runs right up the center of your chest called the vasovagal nerve. I know that because my daughter has an issue with her vasovagal response. She will actually like pass out from stress. So Gabby, yeah, have fun. But one thing we found that works if you are having a stress response is to take an ice pack and press it to your chest, right on that vasovagal nerve, and it will calm you. Part of it is
so
that
ice packed.
I'm going to be, I'm wearing a vest of ice at this point, but
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
part of it is that you're focusing on the cold feeling, but also part of it is that it's calming that nerve. So definitely try that. If you have kids who also have anxiety, it's a non-medication based thing that I have found to be very effective. We deal a lot in our house with like calming blood flow, like back of the neck, or my kids have, yes, you know this, my kids have really bad nosebleeds. This is something that happens every single summer. We have thin membranes in our nose, and they will get these horrific, like horror movie bloody noses. And if we put pressure on the inside right here where that vein is, we either take like tissue and make it into a ball and shove it up in there so it's putting pressure on it, or we use our finger and put pressure on that, and it slows the bloody nose. So
what?
Yeah.
What's with all these hacks? I love this. We just need to do a podcast on like things Kelly knows that you probably do. Like part 1, because there's gonna be a lot. But for real, like all the things you said, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. That's crazy, because you know, sometimes in those moments as parents, we're supposed to be experts on this, and you know, medicine doesn't fix all things, and you're like, well, what do I do in this moment to calm myself or this person down? That's super cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I know for myself, and I wouldn't say they were migraines, but I did have, you know, like I said, these stress induced tension headaches, and they, even though they weren't migraines, they were bad and they were really affecting my life. So I know migraines can also be triggered by stress. So, I mean, again, we say this all the time, but one of the best ways to kind of control your stress level, because most of what stresses us out, at least for me as a mom, as a caregiver, as a busy person, is not anything that I can reduce or control. My doctors always tell me, you really need to reduce your stress level, and I'm like, wonderful, when will you be over? Come over to the house to watch the kids for me, and or take care of my grandmother, or like do the things that I have to do.
It's such the thing they have to say as doctors, but I don't care who you're saying it to. All of us are suffering in some way, shape, or form. It's the biggest slap in the face as a person to hear. You're like, oh, reduce my stress. Like they say it too when you're like pregnant or suffering from stress, because that's why you're there. It's like, how do you go about doing it? They also don't ever have an answer or a remedy for like, oh, just don't. Oh, okay. So yeah. But what helps in those moments when you can't reduce your life?
Well, I mean, I think we all know that moving our bodies, any form of exercise that you can be consistent with, helps reduce stress levels overall. I mean, stress hormones like cortisol are affected. Stress responses in our body are affected. You know, they say, who taught me this? Elle Woods, we all know from Legally Blonde, taught me that exercise creates endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, right? So I think, I'm not saying you need to embark on like this huge, you know, fitness journey if that's not speaking to you.
But go for like a hot girl walk outside and watch yourself feel good, you know, like sun and movement equals endorphins and you're happy.
Right. Yeah. Go for a walk, do yoga, find something that brings you that sense of peace or you know, triggers the happy hormones. It can be anything. I think it's very individual. It's different from everybody. I know 1000%. People who are obsessed with their Peloton. They love it. I know people who run. I know people who go hiking and just being outside in nature and moving their body that way. But I think the key to all of that is to find your body. Yeah,
you have to find it. I could never do yoga, but I like put me in front of like weights and I am the happiest I've ever been. I love to lift weights, and that's what I found. But I had to do yoga to find out that was not my jam, but I didn't stop there. I had to keep figuring out what was it, because we all need that thing that makes us move, but not like that one time. You need to do it every day, you know, because that will help over time.
And for me, you know, going to an acupressure massage person who is well-versed in actual physiology of the body was a game changer for me. They also gave me some tips at home because I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders and the top of my back. They showed me how I can like roll on at the time it was a tennis ball. Now I have all those like rollers. Yeah. So there are things that you can do if tension that you're carrying in your body is attributing to
Sometimes it's just a
migraines.
pressure point that just needs some
Right.
pressure taken
Just
off. It's
get that pressure
nuts,
point
right?
with a roller, or they have mats you can lay on that have pressure.
Those
Pressure point.
guns.
The Theragun, we have one of those. Taking a hot bath with things like Epsom salt and there are certain like oils and stuff that relax muscles. Definitely would consider doing that. Just try, a lot of different things and see what helps to relieve that tension, muscle tension.
Yeah.
It's a serious contributor. And obviously we're talking about stress. Managing your mental health is right up there on the list. We always talk about that. We always talk about, if you feel this is an issue for you, obviously talk to someone. I cannot stress enough what finding a great therapist that you connect with can be life-changing for you. And there's a lot of things that we as people, but I'm not even gonna say as women, because I'm gonna say like as humans, sorry for that. We carry stress in our bodies and it manifests physically. And that can be trauma, that can be just the daily stress of our responsibilities. If we don't have an outlet for it and we don't talk about it and we don't confront it, we just like shove it down there deep.
We often think that it's going to go away and it won't show back up at like coffee with your friend when you just randomly start to cry. You're like, oh, okay, I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out. Yeah.
Yes.
You need to be very aware.
Right. And we tend to kind of be caretaking of others instead of caretaking of ourselves sometimes. So we just need to, find what works. It could be journaling. It could be therapy. It could be talking to your girlfriends and just really opening up to someone that you feel safe with. There's a lot of ways to take care of your mental health. And again, it's like exercise. You have to find what works for you and what kind of speaks to you. And
you also have to love yourself enough to want to work on that. Like right now I'm experiencing burnout and there's a lot of things that I'm choosing to not do because I know if I do it, it'll just make those things manifest more. Sometimes you just have to take like a break and like understand that you need to recalibrate a little bit, but sometimes we know and yet we still push forward. Like we still just like ignore it and push forward. And then those migraines get worse because we're still trying to burn the candle at both ends, and you're gonna burst at one point. You need to like really sit down and figure out why, like you said, like I have stress headaches out of nowhere, something's up, and you had to sit down and be like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
These are your body's ways of telling you something's up.
Yeah. And I was honest with myself of recognizing that I was going through an incredibly stressful time personally. Yeah. I made that correlation and that helped a lot because at the time I did talk to a therapist on top of the other things that I was doing to kind of resolve the physical symptoms. And the sad part is that if I hadn't had physical symptoms, I probably wouldn't have dealt with the psychological symptoms.
Sometimes just being mentally hurt or mentally broken or mentally like injured is not enough for us to really like dig deep. We have to like have some like debilitating like symptom physically for us to go, wait a minute, that's not right.
Which is so crazy because if we had a broken arm, we wouldn't just drag it around with us and be like, oh, it'll get better. We would address it immediately. But when we have a broken spirit, sometimes we don't do the same. And
we just toughen up or understand that that's an adult life and we all have problems. Like it's okay not to be okay and sit with it and figure out how do I fix it? Because like we all deserve to be the best, happiest versions of ourselves. And honestly, if you're having a migraine and all it takes is you just relieving a little pressure point, don't you love yourself enough to fix that? Because the future days of you not waking up with that migraine are going to be so much better because you took the time to figure out what the cause was. Not saying that's all it's going to take, but for some, it could just be a little bit of a tweak in a lifestyle change that will maybe fix it or cause it to be a little less present.
Yeah, exactly. I think most people like who suffer from migraines, if they haven't been prescribed a prescription medication, then they probably are turning to over-the-counter medications. Which is fine, and we totally would advocate for that. The key is to take whatever you're going to take early,
But
it
like long
probably,
term, haven't you heard that taking that kind of stuff
yes.
consistently can wear away at other parts of your body? Like it may fix that, but now it's causing a problem over there, you know?
Right. And that's exactly why during this entire podcast, we've been focusing on preventative techniques instead of just medications, because if you get ahead of this preventatively, food, your diet, your water intake, your exercise, sleep, all of those things will make the migraines perhaps less frequent and require you to take these over-the-counter medications less frequently, because they do have their own issues, right? Overuse of ibuprofen and acetaminophen can cause all kinds of issues in your stomach lining, digestion, blood thinning. Like there's a lot. There's a lot of side effects to those on their own. They can affect all different parts of our bodies. But again, if this is something that you need to relieve the symptoms, we're not suggesting.
You're like weighing out, you're like, well, do I function right this second, or do I have a bad stomach lining over time? You're like, yeah, it's fine 1, 2, 3 times, but like seriously call your doctor and have come in, do like the whole scan, because hey, you may come out finding out you don't have a migraine issue, but you do have some other thing that this was the way of getting you in, so you found out you had that, you know what I mean? Like just don't like put a band-aid over it forever.
And I don't know why, maybe you don't know this, I don't know who wouldn't know this, but there are specially formulated blends for migraine that are different from like a regular Advil or Tylenol. Excedrin is one of the ones that is I best known, right? Excedrin migraine. And it tends to be a combination of aspirin, caffeine, and ibuprofen. Those tend to be the blend that's most commonly used. But my daughter likes one called BC Goodies powder. It's a powder, and you can put it directly on your tongue, or you can put it in a bottle of water and kind of chug it. It's much more fast acting because you're not waiting for a tablet to dissolve in your stomach, right? And I've never tried it. I've never needed to, but she swears by it. My dad and sister both get migraines, and they take an over-the-counter medication called Vanquish. It's not super easy to find. I do see it in pharmacies occasionally, but it's a blend like that. And they swear that one is the best one. So I guess you just have to find what you prefer, what works for your body. And everybody's different, but there are plenty of over-the-counter medications that are specifically made for migraines. And if you take them at the early first symptoms, it tends to make the migraine much less severe. But caution, if you're using them on a regular basis, then I would really push to take some of those preventative measures, or talk to your doctor about something like a prescription medication like Topamax that you can take on a daily basis to prevent the migraines altogether. Because those medicines, you don't want to, plus your body builds up a tolerance to it and you end up taking more and more, and it's just not good.
I just think we do it because we don't want to know what the doctor has to say. We don't want to hear the information that so we put it off till later, and then that later becomes 3, 6, 9 months. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I've been self-medicating for 9 months and I still have this issue. It's like, don't do that. We all will do that. We'll all be that 5-year-old that doesn't want to call the doctor because we don't want to hear what he has to say. Or if you don't have a relationship with your doctor where you think you're going to get good treatment, and that's what's causing you to not call, change
get a new doctor. That's what I was just going to say.
Have a really good relationship with your doctor, because if that's what's causing you, they're just going to tell me to stress less. Well, there's your sign there that you don't have a good relationship with your doctor and you need to get a new one.
Yeah, absolutely. 3/4 of the sufferers of migraines are women. And one of the biggest complaints that I've heard about doctors is that they either just tell you need to lose weight, no matter what. You could come in for a sprained ankle and they'll tell you need to lose weight. And B, that, it's stress or your hormones. If you feel dismissed, like Megan said, by your doctor, and you're not getting the attention or the time or the, response that you want, get a new doctor. I can't tell you how important that is, because we know our bodies. We know when something is not right. And we need to feel like we're being heard when we bring that up and not dismissed. So I know a lot of women do avoid going to the doctor because they just feel like they're going to be told they need to lose weight. They're going to be told it's all in their head, or it's their hormones or whatever. And
And then we start, it's like a bad toxic relationship. Then we start to accept that form of service as like okay with us. That we're just like, oh, well, and then we are mistreating our bodies because the person who's in charge and being paid to treat our bodies well doesn't care either,
Yeah.
So don't be asleep to the fact that you're treating your body in a way that's probably reflective of how your doctor treats you when you see him, like if your pediatrician for your kid gave you that kind of service, you would be livid and find a new pediatrician. Why is that any different for your own doctor?
Yeah. It took me many years to learn that I needed to advocate for myself as well as I advocated for my kids.
Oh, I've changed pediatricians so many times. I will accept the same crap doctor though, if just because it aligns with how I treat my own body. I'm like, well, they're not going to call me out on it. I don't have to call myself out on it. Sometimes people use poor doctors as like, kind of like an accountability, like, oh, I don't have to be accountable because they're not going to hold me accountable either.
Yeah.
It's not good. Have a good, healthy relationship with your doctor, and you will have a healthy relationship with your body as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, I think we gave a lot of good tips today, and hopefully, some of these are things that you can implement in your life, that are easy kind of tasks to add one at a time until you really get like a full system of support in your journey to get rid of your migraines, because it is possible. I've seen it, people who've had migraines for years and years, and now, no longer have that issue.
Some of the happiest people on the planet, because like when you have a migraine, it's not a headache. It's like, it's your whole head is being just like your whole body's being attacked. And like to not have that be an issue anymore is so great. And we all deserve that,
Right.
And I feel like that number would go down a lot more if we all actively tried some of these steps that we did. The number would go down a lot more or stop growing. I know, like we said, these are diagnosed stats, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of undiagnosed people out there.
I'm sure we just touched on the surface of some of the options and treatments that have worked for people. I would love to hear what you guys have tried that works well for you if you're a migraine sufferer. And I have heard a lot of things from a lot of different people that worked for them. And I think it is an individual thing. So if you want to share that with us, there is someone out there who will probably really benefit from your tip, and it could be life-changing for them. So if you want to share what's worked for you, you can comment on the article on our site, she'safullonmonet.com, or you can go to Facebook and search She's a Full on Monet, and you'll find our page there, which has an attached discussion group, because this is really important. And I think, what you may have found a tip that we didn't cover today that could help someone else a lot. So we'd love to hear it.
Absolutely.
And thank you guys for joining us as always. We love chatting with you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.